Welcome back to Chapter 5, the integumentary system. This is video number 14. So we're going to start looking at some of the functions of skin a little bit more in depth. So we talked about them at the beginning of the chapter, but now we're going to take a deeper dig into these. So the first thing we're going to look at is how the skin can regulate temperature. So we have three different ways. The first one is through sweating. So we have evaporation of water from the skin surface. And if you have had chemistry 2, we know that evaporation is an endothermic process, and that means that it absorbs energy from the surroundings. So if the water is on the surface of your skin, it's absorbing energy from your skin surface to go from a liquid phase into a gas phase, and that will remove some heat. It's the same reason why if you are getting out of the shower or the bathtub or even the swimming pool and the water is evaporating from your body, you are cooler right after you take a shower. Hair also can help with this through piloerection, because hair traps air and heat. So the hair traps the air and the heat. And so not as prevalent in humans as other animals, but still it is an evolutionary feature that sometimes we might fluff up the hair on our body a little bit to help with when we get cold. Another way is through arterioles, which are nothing more than small arteries in your dermis. So these can dilate, which means that they get bigger, or contract, get smaller, to help regulate temperature. So if we get really hot, our arterioles can get a little bit bigger and move a little bit towards the surface of our skin, just a little bit, and that allows the diffusion of heat to the surface of the skin. If we get cold, the opposite happens. They can contract a little bit to conserve heat. Another function of skin is going to be with vitamin D production. So we did mention this, but the skin itself, we have a chemical called 7-dehydrocholesterol that reacts with ultraviolet light to form something called cholecalciferol, which is another chemical. This then travels to two places, the kidneys and the liver. So it's transported, and it is turned into calciferol, which is the chemical name for vitamin D. So with that, vitamin D helps with calcium absorption. In our body. So it's really important for maintaining a lot of different things in our body. And we'll talk a little bit more about vitamin D when we talk about bones and calcium. So if we're not getting enough sunlight, this also can affect our mood. And there's a thing called SAD, seasonal affectiveness disorder. And people that live in areas that don't get a lot of sunlight, especially during the winter time when they might be inside, can have a form of depression. And one of the things that they can do is they have lamps that they sit in front of for a period of time that mimic sunlight and allow this to be produced. So in the winter time, if the sun is out shining, it's a good thing to go out and get a little bit of sunlight on your skin because it helps this process. Another thing that we can look at is how the skin can be used to diagnose different things. So if we look at the skin and it's jaundiced, jaundice is a yellowing of the skin. And it's really, really seen in the white part of your eyes, which is called the sclera. That would turn bright yellow because if somebody is African American, sometimes it's hard to see that their skin turns yellow because they have a lot of melanin in their skin. And this is usually indicative of liver problems or gallbladder problems. And it's a buildup of a substance called bilirubin. And bilirubin is formed from the breakdown of red blood cells and hemoglobin. Your liver does that and dumps this bilirubin into your digestive system where it's altered, and that's what makes your poop brown in color, is this waste product from recycled hemoglobin. But before it's turned into a brown substance, it is a yellow substance. So if you have problems with your liver and it is not able to break this substance down, it dumps it into your blood, and that travels through your skin, and it tends to make your skin a yellow color. Another color that your skin can turn is blue, and that's called cyanosis of your skin. So it has a blue tint, and it's usually prominent on the lips especially. And this is indicative of a lack of oxygen or poor circulation. So sometimes people will have purplish blue fingernails. So instead of being like a nice red color, it will have a purple tinge to it. Our skin will also develop rashes. And this is usually in response to a toxin or allergen. So if you're allergic to something, you can develop a rash or hives. Or if you're exposed to certain chemicals, some people develop rashes to poison ivy or poison oak or poison sumac. Some people don't develop that big of one. Some people might develop a rash to certain laundry detergents. So that's just a way of knowing that you've been exposed to something. And then there's some things like eczema, which are thought to be caused by some kind of allergen, but they're not really sure. Sometimes it can be genetic, but it causes a series of reactions. And the last thing that we can look at is hair itself. Hair we can test for chemicals. So some chemicals kind of leave their own print on hairs, and we can test the hair. And one of those is arsenic. So if somebody is suspected of being poisoned by arsenic, you can actually test their hair and find that out. So with that, you can even do this after somebody dies because hair stays around for a little bit and it doesn't decompose as quickly as the rest of the body. So you can actually dig somebody up or exhume somebody and test their hair if that was something that was expected. The last thing that we'll mention in this video are two of the sensory receptors that are found in the skin. The first one is called a Meissner corpuscle, and it is responsible for light touch. So this is one of the nerve endings or sensory receptors that's found in the dermis that is responsible for light touch. The other one is called a Pacinian corpuscle. And this responds to vibrations. So both of these are touch receptors, but they do help with vibrations. And there are going to be several video clips that are going to look and several pictures in the supplementary folder in Schoology, one of which is going to be with colloidal silver. And this is a very interesting video because if you ingest colloidal silver, it can actually turn your skin a very vibrant color, and you will see a video of somebody that did this and the reasons why he took this. I will have some videos on, or some pictures on cyanosis, rashes, and jaundice also located in that folder.